Nouveau jeu de Forgotten City. On m'a conseillé. On va voir ce que ça donne. Je sais pas exactement de quel type de jeu il s'agit. Je crois que c'est énigme, mais en fait, j'en sais pas. Ah, mais j'ai à la fois la souris qui est au milieu de l'écran, mais... Bon, let's go, hein, le son il est comment? Je joue à scénario. Que 3 personnes. Ok, plusieurs fins. Bon, plusieurs fins, il n'y en aura qu'une pour moi. Mystère. Pas le temps de tout lire du coup. Oh,
Hey, you're alive. When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, a phone, maybe. I hope you don't mind. But all I found was some loose change. So, wanna tell me who you are?
allez. Sélectionnez votre corpulence. J'ai que 2 choix. Votre corpulence. Ah non, j'aime pour celui-là. Votre carnation. Pour les traductions... Hop.
Well, it's nice to meet you. And I'm sorry to pry, but any idea why you were floating down the river? What's the last thing you remember?
C'est qui déjà? Attends, à vaincre? Ah, du coup, ça va choisir notre truc. Cette année étudiée l'histoire vous donne occasionnellement des perspectives sur le monde antique. Vous avez une arme à feu militaire, et seulement 10 balles, vous allez devoir l'utiliser à bon escient. Car je ne pourrais pas en avoir doute. Pour ce temps passé à fuir les autorisés, vous êtes rapide et allez 25% plus vite lorsque vous courez. Pour la symptomatique cardiaque, augmentez votre seuil de tolérance à la douleur, vous rendant 50% plus difficile à vaincre. Ça, c'est du. Je sais pas. C'est quoi? Amnésique, en fuite, soldat. Ah, ça paraît cohérent, on va choisir amnésique, mais c'est peut-être. Je crois, quoi que. Tout ça, les balles, on va pas les prendre. Allez, on va dire amnésique, je suis plus
It
difficile à
does
vaincre.
look like you took a pretty hard blow to the head. You're just lucky you've been given a second chance. Which is why I feel terrible for what I'm about to say, but I have a favor to ask.
Dis-moi qui
There's
t'es
some
déjà?
guards just behind you. Roman, I think. I need you to
Pourquoi je
go
ferais
in
ça?
and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped or injured or worse. I would have gone in after him, but he made me promise to stay here, no matter what. There's no way I'm leaving without him. So I'm just kind of stuck here, waiting. I need what I mean.
Putain, elle a un tout petit front.
I was hoping you wouldn't mind going in there to find him. If you can do that, I can get both of you back to civilization in my boat. Please? Oh, of course. Sorry, I don't mean to be pushy. I just...
Bah, t'es qui déjà?
What do you want to know? Oh, there's not much to tell. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Know what I mean?
Oh oui.
Oh, I'd rather not say if it's all the same to you. All right, fine. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen. You're welcome. Always happy to help. Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Hmm. C'est qui
I
Al?
was the guy who washed up on the riverbank not long before you did. I thought maybe you two knew each other. I guess not. But maybe the two of you can piece together what you're doing here. In any case, you'll like him, I'm sure. Once you find him, that is.
On est où?
You really don't remember? We're in Italy. This river is the Tiber.
Le Tibre.
Not much, really. But imagine what you might find in there. Priceless ancient artifacts. What am I, an idiot?
Eh
You
oh.
can hike a long, long way in any direction and never find another soul. Trust me.
Comment tu parles, Karen?
Great. So you're ready to go look for Al?
Ah, let's go, hein.
Thank
Allez.
you. The entrance is just past those columns behind you. Please, hurry. Oh, and he left this here. But I think you'll need it more than I will.
Une torche. Quid pro quo, entrer dans les ruines. Ouais, il galère à reculer. Oh, pourquoi ça lag comme ça? Ouh là là. On peut pas sauter. Putain, mais ça lag pour... On peut courir avec ça. Prendre votre lampe torche. Le truc, c'est est-ce qu'elle a des piles? Bon, ça a pas l'air. On peut pas sauter. Pour afficher le marqueur objectif d'une quête, cliquez sur l'icône en forme d'œil à situer à côté. Donc j'ai un denier et j'ai une lampe torche. Ok. Entrer dans les ruines. Je sais pas si je peux mettre les dialogues en français, je pense pas. Paramètres, langue, français. Titre, oui. C'est comme ça. Alors, oh, allumer la torche. Prends le bon chemin. Du coup, s'il y avait des balles possibles, c'est qu'il y a sûrement des ennemis. Attendez, LT pour courir, bah oui, j'ai trouvé déjà. C'est un jeu à secret. Faut pas aller dans l'eau. Hein. En tout cas, l'intro du jeu est un peu bizarre, quoi. Je sais pas qui je suis, je sais pas ce que je fous là. Je me fais réveiller par quelqu'un qui me dit vas-y, va dans des ruines, cherche un mec. Je dirais c'est comme si on pouvait y aller en face. Il y a autour. Ah, on peut pas y aller. Ah ouais, c'est très couloir. Pas trop passer derrière. Bon.
If you're
Note.
reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long forgotten, all knowledge of it lost, except in the Latin inscription here. It reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise.
Oh.
The wicked shall find themselves showered in gold, but in vain, for this shall be their final resting place."
Oh. Et oui, je peux pas boire sous l'eau. Je descends. Pas. Bien, position d'aller vers le bas. Ok. Pas grand chose pour les moment.
Could an underground city have remained a secret for all this time? Could people have survived down there, against the odds? It seems there's only one way to find out. If I'm not back in an hour, I'm somewhere on the other side. Consider this an invitation, or a warning. Al Worth.
D'accord. Pour l'instant, il n'y a pas beaucoup de possibilités. Hein. Oh, mais si ça fait peur... On m'avait pas dit que ça faisait peur. Qui est là? Tellement je savais lire le latin. Pas me mettre à genoux, devant. Ah non, je peux sauter. Si je sais pas lire le latin, je sais pas non plus l'écouter. Bon, ça veut rien dire, mais... Toi, tu vas m'attaquer, c'est sûr. J'ai pu faire fuir un gladiateur. Un monstre. On va voir, hein. Ah, ça a ramé, mais... Oh! À des moments, ça rame... bien comme il faut, oui. Ils sont tous... sauvegarde. Bon. Et d'avancer, on verra. La Suisse, appuyez sur F5 pour sauvegarder rapidement et sur F9 pour charger rapidement. Et si je joue à la manette. Tombé. Bon, il y a un truc qui va me sauter dessus à un moment donné. On n'a pas de map, j'ai l'impression. C'est quoi mes objectifs déjà? Les traces de Hall. Oui, bah tout le monde est terrifié, moi aussi. Bande de trucs. Tu. On peut pas le faire tomber. Très précis les descriptions. C'est lui, Hal? C'est doré d'un vieil homme aux vêtements modernes. Il doit s'agir d'Hal, mais comment est-ce possible? Comment je peux le savoir? Tablette de pierre gravée.
To whoever reads this, I'm sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around and around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. And here there are only two options. Death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past. I made the mistake of stepping through it. I wanted to set things right. And I tried. I really tried. Whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. Don't make the same mistake. Better to end it all now. Find out what awaits you beyond that portal.
Bon, on va aller voir, hein. On n'a pas trop le choix, je pense, déjà. C'est joli. C'est joli. Piou. Où est-ce que ça nous mène donc? Hey hey. Oula, putain, et la ramance, quoi. Alors, les communs présentant qu'un portail circulaire et deux femmes. Ah, on voit mes mains. Nous sommes de retour. Passé.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius.
Il parle bien
Telling me who
anglais.
you are and what you were doing in the shrine of Proserpina?
Ah, voilà, attendez, vous parlez anglais.
What? I'm speaking Latin. You are too, although your accent's a little strange. Oh, I see what you did there. Changing the subject like that. Nice try. But I'll ask again. Who are you, and what were you doing in the shrine? Yeah, you know, agricultural goddess of springtime? You're not from around here, are you? And you've just done it again. You're a sly one, aren't you? One more time. Who are you, and what were you doing in that shrine? Oh, is that right? Well, just make sure you don't get lost in any other sacred places you're not supposed to be. Can't have you disrespecting the gods by accident, can we now? But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine. Not laws, law. There's just one, the golden rule, and the punishment for breaking it's, well, it's kind of horrific. But our magistrate insists we take all newcomers to see him, so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming?
Galerius. On va le suivre, ouais.
When I first arrived, I couldn't believe there were people living down here. But, as you can see, we've got a nice little community now. Only 23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in, if you're not careful.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your handsome new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your loincloth, Aurelia. I'm taking him to see the magistrate.
That pompous old bore won't be magistrate for much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar for free tonight.
Aïe.
Politics. I'd stay clear of it and her if I were you. She's... it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Huh. That one usually gets a chuckle.
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
Ah, don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the Forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other patricians live, so don't expect a warm welcome.
Galerius, you're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You'd better go with him. But just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy. Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally. Follow me, please. I expect the magistrate wants to brief you about the golden rule. It shouldn't take too long. He's busy.
La règle d'or, tu
today.
supposes que ça vient avec les personnages qui sont... Non, je crois pas.
I'm afraid I have to insist. All right. Well, I can't force you. I'll let him know you declined. But he won't be pleased with either of us. I'm a legionary of the 1st Italica, but there's not a lot of fighting down here. So the magistrate has assigned me other duties. I act as the magistrate's right-hand man, keeping an eye on his daughter, I should say, and the others, and making sure they're all behaving. I also keep a register of new arrivals. I'm from Liguria, up north originally. I was doing alright for myself, 12 years into my service. Had a nice girl lined up for when it was all over. Not anymore. She's probably figured I'm long gone and moved on by now. I try not to think about it. My commander sent me to deliver a message to Rome. While I was there, I thought I'd do something nice for my girl and pick up a little pendant from a service. That's when the crowd started flooding through the streets, shouting fire. People were screaming, trampling each other. Then some geneticum fugitor tried to take advantage of the chaos and pinch my pendant. I remember chasing him through the crowds, down towards the river.
Genetricem fututor.
Nothing. Blacked out and woke up near here. No idea how I ended up floating so far downriver. But unfortunate to be alive, I suppose. Ah, don't be. As Seneca the Younger said, difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor does the body. That said, Centilla's disappearance has been more difficult than I'd care to admit. He's one of the better commanders I've ever had, that's for sure. Good stoic. Lives by Seneca's words.
Stoïcien là.
Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Can't ask for much more than that. I went around asking the same questions when I first arrived. Never did find a way out. But I learned how to accept my situation. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. That's from Seneca the Younger, if you're interested. I don't see why not. Just make sure I get it back by tomorrow.
Aurélia, roturière. Elle connaît une issue. Des pages vides. Il manque du monde là. 3, 6, 9, 12.
Of course. Well, as I always say, it's kind of like a divine version of the practice of decimation in the Legion. By threatening to execute 1 in 10 men, the idea is to ensure order and discipline among everyone. And it works. If you knew you could be executed because your brother-in-arms is planning a mutiny, well, you'd bloody well watch it like 100-eyed Argus, wouldn't you? Because your only chance of saving yourself is to stop bad things before they happen. Makes us all responsible for keeping each other in check. It's brutal, of course, but effective. The Legion wouldn't be the most formidable force in the world without it. A war crime? Isn't that a contradiction in terms? As Cicero said, in times of war the law falls silent. Seems that way. War crimes. Ridiculous. What's done is done. I was forced to execute my brothers in arms and...
Beaucoup de dialogue, hein. Faut jouer.
Life is harsh, and I've come to accept my lot. As with the Golden Rule, I don't have any control over it, so railing against it would be like trying to stop the seasons or the tides. As Seneca the Younger wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. If you like. Not that it's any of your business, but my loyalty is and always will be with Sentius. Unfortunately, I don't think my vote is going to make any difference today. See, Domitius has been going around town, shoring up votes for Malleolus with lies, bribery and intimidation.
Comment je peux savoir qu'il y avait des votes là?
Savage. But he's a gladiator, so people fear and respect him more than they should. Sentius knows about it, of course, but he doesn't have the same rat cunning as Malleolus. This place will be different with that sleaze at the helm. But I try not to worry about things I can't change. I appreciate the thought, but you're new here, and I just can't see how you could make an impact in the time between now and the election this afternoon. In any case, if you're interested in the election, go and have a chat with Equitia, the Vestal Priestess. She'll be overseeing proceedings. All right?
Il est où le mec qui a les règles d'or, je sais pas quoi là. Ça a l'air grand tout ça. Pentia a trouvé un moyen de s'échapper. S'il y a tous les objets que je peux manipuler comme ça va être long. Hein.
The many shall suffer.
Ah, fallait pas voler.
Of the one.
Tuer Sentius jusqu'au sanctuaire et utiliser le nouveau son portail. J'ai rien compris, mais... Comme j'ai volé...
Everybody run!
Pas compris, mais... Loop through time once. Et du coup, est-ce que... J'ai quand même les deniers. Il va me considérer comme si je venais d'arriver.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina? I don't think so. I've never seen you before in my life. Oh, Bacchus, how much did I drink last night? Sorry to have bothered you. Oh, and since you seem to be in a hurry, you should try out this device I made. Worked real hard on it.
Pourquoi pas.
Just attach the pulley to the rope over the lake and hang on to the handles. If it works, it'll be faster than walking.
Ok, on va pouvoir boucler.
If it doesn't work, worst thing that can happen is you'll take a swim in the lake. I haven't quite summoned the courage to test it myself. But don't worry, it's completely safe. Probably. All right. See you around.
Mhm. Mhm. Faut de la thune à balle là. Tyrolienne c'était là. Mhm. Ok. Il est de nouveau là lui.
Salve. Ah, it's you again. Hope you're settling in, friend. Now, what's on your mind? All right. See you around.
Je sais pas où il faut aller. Caca. Caca. Des œufs. Ça peut être utile à un moment donné. Bonjour.
Don't you just love springtime?
Il va où là? Qu'est-ce qu'on a par ici? Chose là. Pot de vin. Probablement. Lag. Ah, c'est grand. Ouais. Où je vais, mais j'y vais. Du tout droit. Les ombres exsangues errent sans chair ni os, bien sûr. Livia. Ce lieu est appelé séjour du crime, Titios, étendu sur 9 arpents, offrait ses entrailles à lacérer. Toi, Tantale, tu ne saisis pas le moindre goutte d'eau et l'arbre au-dessus de toi se dérobe à toi. Toi, Sisyphe, tu cherches à saisir un rocher ou tu le pousses, rocher prêt à retomber. Fiction tourne en rond, se poursuivant et se fuyant, et les audacieuses qui machinèrent la mort de leur cousin, les Bélides, s'appliquent sans fin à Puiseno qui se perd aussitôt. Et ben j'en suis très content de tout ça. Viens d'où, Madela? Piou piou, il se tape. Oui, je peux. Je peux m'accroupir? Il y a un zoom, il y a un saut, je vois pas de... Paramètres. Commande. Courir, sauter, s'accroupir. C, donc il doit y avoir... Et ok. Et comment... Revienne quand je serai plus léger, quand je serai un enfant? Ok, je suppose qu'il y a une histoire de temps. Pour y repenser, je pourrais potentiellement revenir là. C'est pas la dernière bouteille de vin, j'en ai déjà deux là. Ok. Je viens d'où moi? D'en bas, je crois. Ah, on a de la vie. Et j'ai une voix horrible. Théophilus s'est livré à une orgie avec 4 femmes ici et les a toutes déçues. Bien.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ok. J'aimerais fuir, hein, mais... Le truc, c'est que je sais plus d'où je viens. Donc... Ça sent pas bon. Ah. On va recroiser des gens... simplement, hein. Il y a des vols qui sont un problème et d'autres qui le sont pas, donc je sais pas trop. J'ai récupéré ma vie ou pas? Elle remonte? J'arrive pas à voir. J'ai l'impression qu'elle remonte. Ça. Encore toi?
Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and why you look like you've just taken on a gladiator and lost? I don't think so. I've never seen you before.
Pas censé pouvoir prendre l'éolienne là? L'éolienne, la tyrolienne, pardon. Je peux lui parler, elle?
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts
Don't you
all
just
the
love
souls.
springtime?
But it does not notice the crowds that come. The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others their trades, imitating their previous lives. They never do. There is only a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. Help me? You cannot help me. I have seen things.
Pour l'instant, c'est trop tôt pour le dire.
It is better for you if you remain ignorant. Pandora's box.
Il y a beaucoup de dialogues.
Closed. I'll say no more.
Découvrir pourquoi Lydia se comporte bizarrement.
The bloodless shadows. This is their punishment. The newly arrived are ignorant of the road before them.
C'est un jeu de dialogue, bah, du coup, ça paraît plutôt logique alors. J'ai dû fuir 2 fois là, je me suis fait défoncer ici parce que enfin, les 2 fois où j'ai dû fuir, c'est quand j'ai volé des trucs. Ah, voilà, dès que je vole un truc...
Shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Et du coup, je commence à voir... J'ai plein de trucs dans mon inventaire, que j'ai de la thune. Mais je sais pas ce que c'est la règle d'or. J'ai pas encore été voir le magistrat là. Oh, il y a des gens là-bas qui courent, non? Coucou. Et pour l'instant, à chaque fois que je suis revenu, j'ai pas compris comment esquiver le dialogue avec Michel là. À chaque fois, il... Ah, c'est bon, il arrête de... Laisse-moi. Et je lui dis que je viens du futur, il dit quoi?
No idea what you're talking about. Oh, wait. Are you a bit, you know, not right in the head? That's all right, friend. Everyone's welcome here. We sort of lose track of the date down here, but it feels like the beginning of spring to me, so I'd say early March? It's 817 AUC. Sorry, you look confused. 817 years since the founding of Rome. Which part of the empire are you from exactly? Hey, not so loud. Just saying that name could land you in trouble here. If you haven't heard, his cultists burned down half of Rome last year. Horrible business. I heard Nero executed some of them, but a lot of people are still angry with them. Even down here.
C'est marrant qu'il parle de secte ici.
Keep it to yourself. But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So live by our law here, and we'll all get along. All right, friend, suit yourself. Just don't do anything too reckless till you've spoken with Max.
J'avais parlé à Sentus là. Skip the City Tour. Cette fois-ci, j'arrive à prendre la tyrolienne. Ouais, Karel, c'était trop bizarre. Déjà, d'où elle me parle, je la connais pas. Elle me dit d'aller suivre un mec.
Keep an eye out for Scintilla, would you? Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius.
Cette fois-ci, on va lui dire OK.
Follow me. The only thing you really need to understand right now is the Golden Rule. Let me see if I can explain it this way. When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad
Ouais,
apples.
il ferme la porte comme ça.
They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws, and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9. Didn't matter whether he'd done anything wrong.
Il se met contre le mur là.
One of us in 10
Whatever are
would
you
die
wearing?
for the crimes of the collective. We call it decimation. If that seems like rough justice to you, you're in for a rude shock. Because the Golden Rule is exactly 10 times worse. The magistrate can explain the rest. Who's up these stairs?
Ugh,
Oh, les yeux.
Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want?
T'es qui?
I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate. But you'd know that if you'd been invited in here and introduced properly. What are you doing in here? And why are you dressed like that? Ugh, what is it with you people? You heard the rumor that my little sister escaped and figure I must know a way out too. Is that it? Well, that's just a stupid rumor. We have no idea what happened.
Bonnes
to
usines.
Priscilla.
Salut.
I wish you mouth breathers would just leave me alone. I don't know. Can you? Can you tell me how a person could have disappeared from a city with no exits and no crime? Was she snatched away by the Harpies? It was 3 weeks ago.
We ate our evening meal together, and I remember she seemed happy. In love. We went into our rooms, I went to sleep, and when I woke up, she was gone. That's it. I think so, yes. But she was very careful about keeping his identity a secret.
Elle me parle de trucs comme ça alors qu'elle me connaît pas.
Because our father had plans to marry her off, eventually, and even a rumor about her attachment to some mystery man might have ruined those plans. I don't know, but it's been 3 weeks since she disappeared, and he hasn't come forward. That might speak to a guilty conscience. All I know is, whoever he is, he's still here in the city. You really aren't from here, are you? All Roman women are named after their fathers. I think it's their way of raising us, like cattle to be sold at market. His family name is Sentius, so I'm Sentia because I'm the eldest, and my little sister is formerly Sentia Minor. She's affectionately known as Sentilla. Why? Because I'm on this couch and not pacing about the villa, wasting energy? I hope you're not insinuating I'm somehow pleased with her disappearance. Oh, you're awful. Get out of my villa and never speak to me again.
Ah, on va dire ça. Alors, avant de continuer de voler des trucs, on va aller demander des trucs au magistrat.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? A curious name to match a curious accent. But I digress. Now, you're probably wondering why I summoned you, and I'll get to that. But first, take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains, many hundreds of years ago. In good time. More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built
7 mois.
over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own.
C'est lui qui contrôle le truc.
And in all that time, not a single
Tiens, ah ok, pas le droit de se battre, pas le droit de voler.
No fights, no theft, nothing. Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin? Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the gods and provoke a terrible punishment. Like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold. We've come to call it the Golden Rule. It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up. And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the Golden Rule. Why else would Serpent send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Ask away. An intelligent question. There was a good deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes, or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder. But beyond that, it was more difficult to reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone,
blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide. As magistrate, I had to exercise leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries. Barbaric? Barbaric? What are you talking about? The Empire is the most civilizing force in the known world. Rome is a beacon of light in the darkness. For 800 years she has borne
Ingénieur.
statesmen, philosophers, poets, artists, and engineers. We have comprehensive laws protecting the rights of our citizens, which have unified countless warring tribes all across the Mediterranean and beyond, from Gallia to Judea. All our citizens are treated the same, regardless of the color of their skin or their sexual preference. Can you say the same? When our people are starving, they are given food rations, and when they are wronged, they have the right to bring the guilty party before the magistrate. Our laws forbid treason, murder, assault, and rape, as well as theft and arson, and so on. No other civilization in the world is so advanced, and you have the hubris to call us barbaric? Of course, what else would we do with those prisoners of war who would otherwise have been executed? And besides, there are laws for their protection as well. On occasion, but our gladiators are almost all volunteers seeking glory. Or
Les justifications pour tous,
who
marrant.
would have been executed anyway. I do not see the harm. Of course, but with fewer rights come fewer responsibilities, and the right to be protected by their fathers and husbands. You mean the blasphemous cult responsible for burning down half of Rome last year? It's hard to blame the people for being angry about that. Are you talking about our practice of decimation? Of course. We could hardly unite all these warring tribes without a disciplined, formidable legion. Well, right now, you're a long, long way from home. I have made my pronouncement on the subject. Unfortunately, there are still those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you. You see,
Il y a du texte.
for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time, so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the past. And when I saw you arrive in a flash of light from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time, do you? 2,000 years? That is unfathomable. Please, tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us, of this city? Lie all you want, but I see the truth in your eyes. All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future? I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you? Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for. Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's
Je sais pas s'il y a une notion de temps qui passe dans le jeu, il faut finir le jeu dans un temps imparti.
You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot. Do you ever stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore? What's needed here is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better. Me? Why would you suspect me? I've just told you, I'm about to sacrifice my own life to ensure these people have a second chance. What reason could you possibly have to suspect me, of all people? I'm glad you think so. Without trust, without each other, we won't be able to prevent what is about to happen. Ah, so you know about that already. It's a devastating loss, of course, but that was over 3 weeks ago, and whatever happened to her, it didn't break the Golden Rule, so I don't think it's connected with our imminent demise. Still, if you happen to find her and return her to me, I would be eternally grateful. Well, all right. There are those who wish to vote me out of office so that they can pursue their own misguided political agenda. Frankly, their selfishness and recklessness risk destabilizing the entire city. I would be looking very carefully at them if I were you. You mean you couldn't speak Latin before you arrived here? How so? But the gods are active here, and their temples and shrines hum with power like nowhere else in the Empire. Perhaps when Proserpina brought you here, she planted the seed of Latin in your mind so that you could better serve her. Indeed. If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the Golden Rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense?
Comment il peut savoir ça, lui? Faut à moins de retourner à votre époque.
Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the Golden Rule?
Bah, c'est moi.
No, I don't suppose you do. But I'm hoping that even if you're not burdened with a sense of self-sacrifice, you'll at least see the sense in self-preservation. Wonderful.
C'est pas faux.
Now, I need you to investigate the city, talk to everyone, help them if it'll win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents, unless, of course, you're asked to leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately. Oh, and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of Apollo in the Forum. I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not right.
Merde, il y avait deux choix et ça donnait des trucs différents. J'ai pas vu ce que c'était. peut lui reparler.
Ah, you've returned. Do you have any news about your investigation? Of course. What is it? Are you sure you've spent enough time investigating to make that call? It seems to me you've barely had enough time to scratch the surface. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask? Ask then. Good. Now, was there something else you wanted to discuss?
Peut-être, peut-être.
Sextus Sentius Imperiosus is my name, though magistrate is the proper way to address me. Before I wound up here, I was a decurion in the cavalry of Imperial Rome, helping protect civilization from the barbarians. It's a cavalry officer. I had 30 men under my command. This was my uniform. As magistrate, I usually wear a toga, but today I may need to survive long enough to create the portal for you, so it seemed prudent. My men and I were at the Emporium in Rome as honor guard for a visiting dignitary arriving upriver by barge. Now the port is usually bustling, but just as our guests arrived, waves of people began running toward the river from streets and alleyways in every direction. They were trying to escape a terrible fire. Unfortunately, the crowd sent my horse into a panic, and I remember it losing its footing by the water's edge. The next thing I knew, I was waking up on a riverbank not far from here in the company of some stranger. I went looking for my horse and discovered that lonely...
La Karen.
I was elected 7 months ago, uncontested because of my command experience. Since then, there's been growing agitation for another election. They're supposed to be annual, but I agreed to hold it sooner, hoping it would placate my constituents. Unfortunately, it just seems to have emboldened certain elements instead. Very well. If I did, I'd have led these people out of here already. I've had plenty of time to think about it. Let me see if I can sum up my thoughts. I've always considered my guiding star to be the well-being of the Roman people. Our survival and prosperity have always hinged upon honoring the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. Give the gods what they want and we all prosper. Dishonor them and we all die. It's as simple as that. The real enemy in this place is not the golden rule, but human failings. The temptation to slide into degeneracy, greed, and hubris. I trust that answers your question. Thank you. I'll be waiting here for news.
Plus qu'à voler ici. Bon allez. Dernier dialogue là-bas. Et puis... bon.
Citizen.
Je vais me faire recaler là.
On your best behavior, I trust?
Qui?
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?" The
proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change. You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here? Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you?
Une connotation négative d'où je viens, c'est vrai.
Older. I see. I wonder if... No. I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking. Have you spoken with any of the others about how they arrived here too? I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember.
Oui, fil conducteur, oui. La rivière.
Good. Thank you. But please be careful. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you too.
Qui déjà, Livia?
Up until a few weeks ago, she was a perfectly productive member of our little community, darning clothes and cutting hair. She was always so chatty, always seeking out newcomers and asking them where they were from and how they wound up here. And then, about a month ago, she suddenly changed. She withdrew, stopped working and became despondent, started muttering.
C'est là que j'ai parlé tout à l'heure.
Galerius and I visited her to see how we could help, but she just looked at us
Ouais,
with
c'est
this
ça.
haunted stare, called us bloodless shadows, and told us we were ignorant of some pattern. Look, it could be unrelated. Perhaps she simply fell ill. Or, as Galerius suggested, the weight of the golden rule was too much for her. But there is a small chance that she learned something, saw a pattern nobody else saw, and that it broke her. I just don't want to see that happen to you. So be careful, will you? Thank you. Now, go and follow the thread of truth through this labyrinth, and come back to me if you discover any patterns. I don't, I'm afraid. It seems to me we're exiled here until the gods judge us, one way or another. I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned with our misdeeds, as long as we've kept the peace of the gods. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return, we offer praise, wine, incense, or animals. But here, it seems they require much more of us. I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent tale from our great poet Ovid in his epic Metamorphoses. Would you like to hear it?
Oh. Façon courte.
I suppose so. Jupiter and Mercury put a town to the test by disguising themselves as vagrants and asking for shelter there. Everyone turned them away and failed that test, except for an old couple named Baucis and Philemon, and so the gods gave them time to escape and granted them a wish, and then wiped that town off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the reciprocal obligations owed between hosts and guests. But I like to think it's that we should always show compassion for those less fortunate than ourselves. I'm pleased to hear it. It must be completed by dusk, just the same as any other official business. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent, and Malleolus, the challenger. Why do you ask? All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course. Well, You're not a citizen yet, so no, I'm afraid not.
Mhm.
If it's any consolation, there are other ways to influence the outcome of an election. By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course. I'm responsible for announcing it and making sure the procedures are followed. You can, assuming they're eligible and willing to accept the nomination. As I said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk, but I suppose I could hold it sooner, if there's a good reason. As you wish.
Ok.
Certainly. And did you notice anything? A pattern? Oh, well then. Keep asking people how they wound up here. I don't want us to rush to any conclusions.
Mhm.
Livia's fate weighs heavily on my mind, and dictates we should be sure. Yes, you should ask the others first. Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbors.
J'aurais pas le temps de reparler en perso, ça va durer trop longtemps. Je vais m'arrêter là. Allez, on rejouera peut-être pas ce week-end, peut-être début de semaine prochaine. Bonne soirée. Ciao.